When Paul Woodson started attending St. Ignatius Catholic Church, he didn't think too much of it. As an expatriate from the UK working at Zambia breweries, he had plenty of time to spare. So on Saturdays, he would help out with the youth group at the church. It was on one of these Saturdays that he first saw her. Chama Kunda. He couldn't believe how beautiful she was. She had a lovely body and pretty red lipstick on. He couldn't take his eyes off her, and the youth group members noticed. They started giggling. "Hello," Chama said. "Father Robert has asked me to help out with the youth group activities." "I am Chama," she said, holding out her hand. She thought he was handsome. Paul was tall and slim and had intelligent blue eyes. But apparently on this occasion he wasn't listening. He was just staring at her, with his mouth slightly open. "Oh, sorry. I'm Paul," he added, eventually. After the youth meeting, they got chatting. "So have you been coming here long?" he asked her. "Yes, I grew up in this church. I have been busy with work. It's only now that things have calmed down and am able to help out here." "Oh, what do you do? You sound like you save people." "Yes, I do. I am a doctor." Paul was impressed that such a pretty woman was also very intelligent. Paul was attracted to Chama, but he was denying it. "So what did you do on Friday?" "I met up with my girlfriend. I only date blondes," he said, on one occasion. He didn't really have a girlfriend. He only said this because he had heard no one wants someone who nobody wants. Chama was surprised at the overflow of information. "Oh, that is nice to know. I have always wanted to marry an old man. They are much more mature," Chama said, in response. This surprised Paul. He was expecting Chama to look disappointed, not to be so defiant. "Why an old guy, though?" he asked, sounding bothered. "Well, old guys are easier. They have played all their lives and are just ready to settle down. No games, whatsoever," Chama said. "Sounds boring. Old men just stay in all day and watch TV. They read newspapers and do crossword puzzles," Paul added. "I like crossword puzzles," Chama said. "In fact, I do one every day. It's good for the brain." Paul realized this one would be a tough one to crack, but he didn't give up. This was going to be fun. With time, they admitted their feelings for each other. Paul dropped the pretense of having a blonde girlfriend, and Chama admitted she preferred dating guys closer to her age. As their relationship grew stronger, Paul made a life-changing decision. He would settle down in Zambia with Chama. He had been brought in initially as a consultant for Zambia breweries on a one-year contract. He changed his role to a more permanent role so that he could stay longer in the country. It wasn't a decision he made lightly, but one he made with conviction and love. When he finally proposed, it was simple but heartfelt. Overcome with emotion and certain of her answer, Chama said yes. When they shared the news with Father Robert, he was genuinely delighted. Having watched their journey unfold, he gladly offered them guidance and counsel as they prepared for marriage, encouraging them to remain grounded in faith, communication, and mutual respect. "So, I forgot to ask one crucial question. Do you like watching romantic comedies?" Paul asked Chama one day. "Doesn't every girl like romantic comedies?" "Oh no. I take it that means yes. I am going to have to get myself a man cave," Paul said. "You will do no such thing. We will watch romantic comedies together every Friday, like normal couples do," Chama said. "No," Paul pretended to be in agony. "They're all the same. Boy meets girl. Boy falls in love. They fight. Grand gesture. Happily ever after," Paul continued. "You forgot the airport scene," Chama teased. "And the quirky best friend," Paul added. "See? You do watch them," Chama said. "Against my will. At least in action movies something explodes," Paul said. "Well, in romantic comedies, feelings explode," Chama said. "That doesn't count," Paul said. "Just admit you like them," Chama said. "I like parts," Paul said. "Which parts?" Chama asked. "The part where you're happy watching them," Paul said. "That's suspiciously romantic," Chama said, and they laughed. Paul Woodson danced into the kitchen party venue. He was nervous, but this was their big day. He was nervous because the women in the room were friends and family of Chama, his beautiful fiancée, who was sitting underneath a large kaitenja fabric on stage. The ladies in the party venue were happy to see him dancing with his friends and cheered them on. The older men on her family's side had explained to him that it was tradition. He had to go to the stage and uncover his bride and present her with flowers and a hamper. His side of the family would have to put down some Zambian kwacha notes into a basket, which enabled him and his party to approach the stage where Chama was sitting. He was nervous as he was excited to see how pretty she would look. When he finally lifted the kai tenja, he saw her. His beautiful fiancée, Chama. Her skin looked radiant, he was unable to take his eyes off her. Paul couldn't believe she had agreed to marry him. Chama was absolutely chuffed that such a handsome man was marrying her. He gave her the beautifully wrapped hamper and the bouquet of red roses, holding them out with a gentle smile. The roses were fresh and vibrant, their deep crimson petals symbolizing love and admiration. After she accepted the gifts, he stepped closer and wrapped her in a warm, tender hug that lingered for a moment, drawing soft applause from those gathered around them. The women in the venue ululated incessantly. Paul and Chama were given chairs so that they could sit next to each other facing everyone in the room, as if to declare their love publicly. Chama had to lie down on her sides in front of her mother and aunts who had raised her, as a sign of gratitude. Paul and his family had never experienced anything like this and would remember this event for many years to come. When Chama came back to sit next to Paul, he whispered, "Wow, this is amazing. I will never forget this. This is really beautiful." After the event, Paul and Chama were talking outside the venue. Paul said, "When you said kitchen party, I thought you meant they would teach you how to cook." "I do know how to cook," Chama defended herself. Paul laughed. "What was that?" "I heard you," Chama said. "The last time you cooked, the smoke alarm went off," Paul said. "That's because you were distracting me with your talk about football." "I couldn't do two things at once," Chama said. "It was a little, how can I put it? Overcooked," Paul said. "That is how we roast beef here in Zambia, it has to be well done, not pink inside and definitely not bloody," Chama said, laughing. "That wasn't beef. It started out as beef, then you got your hands on it, put it into the oven and turned it into leather," Paul laughed. "By the way, I have had well-done beef at the market. It is still soft. It doesn't turn hard. I don't know what you do to make it hard. You're so rude." "I've improved since then," Chama said. "Should I keep a fire extinguisher nearby, just in case you improve too much?" Paul teased. Chama rolled her eyes and they both laughed. Chama and Paul got married in their local Catholic church, surrounded by family, friends, and members of their parish community. The church was beautifully decorated for the occasion, with fresh flowers arranged along the aisle and soft light streaming through the stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns across the pews. A gentle hush fell over the congregation as the ceremony began. Father Douglas officiated at the ceremony, standing at the altar in his vestments and guiding the couple through the sacred rites of matrimony. His voice carried warmly through the church as he spoke about love, commitment, and the sanctity of marriage. He led them in prayers, scripture readings, and the exchange of vows, reminding them of the lifelong covenant they were about to enter. When they exchanged rings, their hands trembled slightly with emotion, and their voices were filled with sincerity as they pledged their love and faithfulness to one another. The congregation responded with joyful applause after Father Douglas pronounced them husband and wife. The ceremony concluded with blessings and warm congratulations, marking the beginning of their new life together as a married couple. The reception was held at the elegant Intercontinental Hotel in Lusaka, where approximately 200 guests gathered to celebrate Chama and Paul's union. Both their families and close friends attended the wedding reception, filling the grand ballroom with warmth, laughter, and excitement. The ballroom was decorated elegantly, with sparkling chandeliers casting a golden glow over beautifully arranged tables dressed in crisp linens and floral centerpieces. The wedding cake stood proudly on display, a magnificent three-tier masterpiece covered in fresh flowers and delicate gold accents. It was as stunning as it was delicious, and when Chama and Paul cut the first slice together, the room erupted in applause. As the evening progressed, music filled the ballroom and the dance floor came alive. Chama and Paul shared their first dance as husband and wife, moving in perfect harmony, seemingly lost in their own world. They danced the night away, only having eyes for each other, while their guests cheered them on and joined in the celebration. It was a magical evening that none of them would soon forget. The adjustment to married life was not always plain sailing. Paul and Chama agreed on most things like where to live, what groceries to buy and most money matters. They discussed how they spent their money and prayed to God for guidance. However, there were a few issues they needed to adjust to. One day, Paul said, "Babe, can we talk about something without it turning into a fight?" Chama replied, "That depends. What is it?" "I saw the charge from the salon. Again. That's almost 800 kwacha. You spent the same just last month," Paul insisted. "It's not just the charge. It's my hair. And it lasts." "I know it's your hair. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying, 800 kwacha every month is a lot. For you it's a lot. For me it's maintenance. You get haircuts every 2 weeks. You buy expensive sneakers. Nobody questions that." Chama was determined to defend her expenses. "That's not the same and you know it. I don't buy sneakers for 800 kwacha every month." Chama rolled her eyes, annoyed. She knew he was right. Paul added, "It's not about understanding. It's about budgeting. We said we were trying to pay off the wedding at Intercontinental Hotel. We still owe a lot of money." "I know, but doing my hair makes me feel confident. We will pay off the hotel bill eventually," she said. "I think you're beautiful without it. You don't need a new Brazilian weave every month. Why not try out some other cheaper hairstyles?" Paul suggested. "That's sweet. But it's not about what you think I need. It's about how I feel. You don't wake up worrying if your hair looks professional or if people will judge it." "Okay, what if I offered to help with your hair? I mean, it can't be that hard." "Okay, here is a comb. Why don't you try to style it and let's see how it will turn out?" Paul tried to style her hair but eventually gave up because he had no idea what he was doing. After 30 minutes, he said, "This is too hard." "Okay, next time let's get some help," Paul said, after he gave up. "I told you." "But you wouldn't listen," Chama said, feeling triumphant that she was right. "I just need to practice," Paul said. He wouldn't let her win. One day, as they were cooking dinner, Chama mentioned that she bumped into her friend Grace, who was pregnant with baby number 7. "Grace and Ed are having baby number 7, she said to Paul, prompting a conversation. 7? At this point they're not a family, they're a small netball team, Paul joked. "Be nice," Chama said, defending her friend. "I am being nice. I'm impressed. They really took God's instruction seriously. He said be fruitful and multiply, but they decided to take it like a personal challenge," Paul teased. "Stop," Chama laughed back. "No, seriously. They think they are the only ones who should be fruitful and multiply," Paul continued, unable to stop himself from laughing. "You're terrible," Chama said. "How big is their house? You need a bigger car for such a big family. I just can't imagine." Chama laughed. "Meanwhile, you panic when our niece visits for one afternoon. Because she has the energy of 3 espressos and no off switch," Paul said, as if people actually came with switches. "So 7 would finish you." Chama said. "I just can't imagine. In this economy?" Paul said. "And when are we going to start having kids?" Chama asked. "So that is why you brought it up. I knew you would say that." "Yeah, I want a family, Paul. Right now, I just want us to get to know each other and learn to live together," Paul said as he kissed her. He managed to get out of this conversation this time. One day, they went out with friends to watch a match between Liverpool and Manchester United. Paul was wearing his Liverpool football jersey. Chama wasn't really a football fan but decided that for that evening, she would support the opposing team, just to see his reaction. "You sure you want to sit next to me? After all, you are supporting the enemy," Paul teased. His friends laughed at the joke. "It's a free country. I am free to support whoever I choose, supporting United and tolerating Liverpool fans at the same time," Chama responded. "Careful. We're top-table royalty," Paul said. "Royalty? You guys are just dramatic. One bad pass and you all start writing apology letters," Chama teased. "At least we have a style of play." "Manchester United don't have a style of play," Paul continued. His friends, Peter and Michael, agreed with him. "Oh, I've seen it. It's called Cross and Hope," Chama said, bravely. On the TV screen where the match was being televised, Liverpool missed a chance to score. "Ooh, was that your heavy metal football?" Chama asked, laughing. "Relax. When we score, I'll make you clap," Paul responded. "I'd rather applaud good football. So, I'll wait for United to score," she said. "Bold talk from a club living off old glory," Paul said. Chama laughed. "Funny. That's exactly what I was about to say about Liverpool. One day, after work, Paul decided to surprise Chama with chocolate. I brought you something, he said, as he presented her with a box of chocolates. Why are you holding that much chocolate? Chama said, surprised by how much chocolate he had brought her. Because you deserve sweetness, Paul said. You bought enough for 10 people. Are you trying to make me fat? Chama said. What? No. It's premium chocolate. Very romantic, Paul said. You could have bought perfume. You know I'm trying to watch my weight, she said. Perfume is risky. What if you hate the scent? Paul said. And what if I hate gaining 5 pounds, she said. That's not how chocolate works. This is a one-off gift, I won't always buy chocolate, he said. That is exactly how chocolate works. I will get fat, she said. Fine. Next time I'll buy flowers, Paul said, finally giving up. Please. You know plants don't survive me. I have brown fingers. They all turn brown, Chama said. You can't keep a cactus alive. Paul asked. Cactus are tricky. You forget to water them a few weeks and before you know it they're dead, Chama said. Paul laughed. You're terrible. Maybe we should hire a maid just to keep plants alive around here, Paul teased. They laughed. Paul and Chama adjusted to married life with patience and open communication, working through their differences with understanding and maturity. They continued to spend meaningful time with family and friends, strengthening the support system around them. They continued to serve in church at the youth ministry. Their relationship was built on shared values, faith, respect, and genuine friendship, not just physical or material attraction. What they had was real, sincere, and deeply rooted in something lasting.